What makes our video podcast different from others? We ask each guest what they're doing to give back to the world and their local community. Now that they've amassed their wealth, how are they giving back to help others? Additionally, we ask each guest to give our listeners a special gift to help them grow as a person and to influence their business. Welcome to the Roy Snar Show, entrepreneurship and giving back. Now, here's your host, Roy Snar.
Welcome back to the Roy Snar Show. Today, I'm very excited. We have a good friend of ours. His name is Cody Askins. You probably have heard of him. He has a lot of stuff going on in the insurance industry, but what he's most known for, which is an awesome event, it's called 8% Nation. Cody, thank you so much for coming on.
What is up, brother? Thanks for having me. Shorts and all, man.
Shorts and all. I love it.
I came straight from the golf course. I appreciate you having me. You're awesome.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. And, I remember talking to you late last night. You're like, hey, I got this golf tournament we're hosting. I got an award assembly, a ceremony to do. Yeah. I said, hey, if you can make it work, that's awesome. If you can't, totally get it, man. And I love that you just roll in right from the golf course and you make time for this. And it's awesome. I'm glad that you're on the show, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I always have fun talking with you.
Dude, you as well, man. I mean, dude, when someone invites you, you know what I mean, to share your brand and your story out to the world, why would you say no?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, why would you say no?
100%. I remember in the past, I was always kind of like nervous or shy to get onto the camera, and I got invites. I was like, no, I'm too busy. I never made the effort. But now it's like anybody calls me, hey, you want to be on the show? I'm like, I am there. Let's roll. Let's 100%. Go do that, And
100%.
And that's what's so fun, because you get to interact with people on a different level, and they get to share their stories, share their practices, and we make a greater impact to the entrepreneurs, because that's the whole point of doing this is, hey, look, let's help, like just how you help agents have belief in themselves to create a successful path. We're doing the same thing here for agents and other entrepreneurs who may be struggling, or even if they are successful, because even at levels of success like that you've accomplished, it's not like you're on a sailboat the whole time with no issues, right?
True.
There's always challenges there.
Dude, the bigger it gets, the harder it gets,
That's what it is, yeah.
I'm just trying to create a bunch of Roy Snars in the world, man. That's it. The more Roy Snars, the better, bro.
Yeah, hey,
right?
I love that. I created one. He's only 5 months old now, so.
Let's go, dude, yes.
That's awesome, man. So maybe you could share a little bit for the people that don't know, like your story. How did you start, and then how did you grow this massive multi-7-figure empire of yours?
Yeah, and it's funny, man, because to like hang out with people and they're like, oh my gosh, how'd you do this? How'd you do this? And like grow this. And I'm like, it's interesting. I think it's a personality trait, but it still feels so small.
It does, yeah.
I guarantee it's the same thing for you.
Yeah.
Like you do crazy well, but I bet it still feels like you're like just getting started.
Oh yeah, I feel so behind. It gives me anxiety sometimes.
Yeah. So real quick, my dad's been in the business my whole life. When I was 19, I was an intern as a part-time insurance agent. I was going to Baptist Bible College, taking 21 credit hours a semester, full-time student athlete, playing basketball, practices, games, tournaments, weekends, all that.
Wow.
And then at 20, I became a full-time agent and started selling. And I was cold door knocking, cold calling.
Oh,
I got a ton of stories for that. But in my first 8 months, I made $117,391.13.
Wow, that's amazing.
Fell in love with life insurance sales.
I bet.
Sold for years. 2015, I started putting out content on YouTube to help agents. Like, hey, I made $8,000 this week, and here's how you can do the same thing, and like follow these steps, et cetera, right? Creating belief, and just also, I was putting out content because I always wanted to speak and build a brand and help people.
Yeah.
I didn't know where it would lead. And then over time, agents started reaching out. Hey, can you help me? Hey, can we join your team? Hey, can you coach me? Hey, can we get leads from you? Hey, can you do this?
Right.
Hey, can we do that? And now it's grown to where I think statistically, we will hit 100,000 YouTube subscribers.
I checked your channel. You are so close.
Tomorrow? Or the next day. We're at 99896. We need 104.
Don't you get a plaque from YouTube or something?
You do.
At 100,000. So if you're watching this, just go to Cody Askins, subscribe to it. Come on.
Yeah, we're so close. We're getting about 57 to 63 a day. So we'll hit it Friday. Today's Wednesday. We'll hit it Friday at the latest. So yeah.
That's
and,
awesome.
And then just it evolved.
What an accomplishment.
Thank you.
I remember I actually watched your first video when you're in that creaky old chair and the echo was terrible. And then
don't watch that one.
Now you have like production quality. But the point is that you actually started to do it, right? And we had Luke Acree on the show, and he said the same thing. 3 years, nothing happened. Even Alex Hormozy, which a lot of people know, I think it was like 6 years.
He's on the Roy Snar Show next, right?
Yeah, that would be amazing. Yes, he's actually calling my cell phone. I'll talk to him later. But it takes time to build this up. And at that time, you had no idea. I mean, 6 figures in the insurance game. I mean, I know insurance very well, but it took me 5 years to get 6 figures.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, it was a very long, slow journey.
I think you just wanted like a modest story. I don't know, man.
It took me a long time, man. I was a slow learner. And I was doing part-time stuff also. I wasn't like fully into it. But.
Why do you think that was? I know this is sort of about me, but I'm kind of curious. Like 5 years, someone is impressive, highly skilled, making as much freaking money as you. Takes 5 years to make 6 figures.
I came from a background with zero business sense whatsoever. Okay. My family were a bunch of hillbillies and just worked hard, all blue collar work, no idea about anything. The biggest thing that I was lacking was belief in myself that I could actually accomplish it. I mean, I had very positive upbringing.
What were you making before?
Oh, goodness. I mean, I was 22 when I got my license, so I was making enough to buy enough beer for college and
like 30 grand or something?
Yeah, something like that. Like 30, 40 grand. I sold cars for a while, absolutely hated that business. And then I was doing some startup work where we just invested some money and sold a couple policies here and there. Never really got serious about it until 2015. When that year, because that's the year I got married. I was like, I have to get my act together. I'm going to take care of this lady and have kids. And I had a good mentor at the time that he actually made me cry. He said, you're not going to make it unless you change these things. How are you going to pay for that? And this totally broke me down.
Wow.
But I needed that, right? Because I was getting comfortable. Because at that point, I was making like 50 to 75,000.
Okay.
That first year that he broke that, then I hit over 150. And then we went to 200, then we went to 250, and then we went to 400. I remember when I crossed over $500,000 in 12 months, I was like, this is amazing. This is crazy. And then it just perpetually grew every year after that to this year. We should be hitting in about around $2 million in revenue.
That's incredible.
Just personal pen.
Freaking awesome,
not agency modeling or anything.
So there's a couple things you just said that I want to highlight from my story to help with what you just shared. One is belief.
Yeah, I lack that. Yeah.
So here's a few pieces. So when we talk about belief, so my dad actually told me hey, I was setting goals for my first year. He's like, he inserted something in me, like your mentor did, broke you down, but added belief, right? Took some stuff out, put some stuff in. And my dad's like, dude, you will make, you're impressive. You're my son. You will make $100,000 your first year. Well, what's interesting about that is he's like, you will make $100,000 your first year. I'm like,
yes.
Wait, me?
Yeah.
Right? Who are we talking about?
That's a huge number back then. It still is today.
I'm 20, right? I mean, literally, you make $6 grand in college. It's right? You're buying pizza for the whole dorm.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dang, dude, maybe he's right. Maybe I could make 6 figures, right? Yeah. So he inserted that. I think everybody needs that, number one.
Yeah, totally.
You need belief. You need someone to insert that, and it will make you start believing bigger than you do. Something I do for my sales team every single day. I'm challenging them, I'm motivating them, I'm picking on them, I'm pushing them, I'm breaking them down. Right. I'm inserting confidence, but I'm trying to instill belief, right? Which is really important, and you shared a second ago. The second thing you shared was putting your back against the wall.
Yeah.
Someone breaking you down.
Yeah.
Getting married. You had these pivotal moments in your life of things that, at one point when you're 22, you're like, dude, I don't even need 6 figures, man.
No.
If you come from blue collar family, you come from making 20, 30 grand a year, you're like 40, 50, 60 is amazing.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
So 100 is not even it's in the rear view. It's not it's not in the
Those
purview,
are for
right?
the rich folks.
Exactly.
That's a different mindset.
But the second is once you have a belief, you got to find different ways to put your back against the wall, to wake yourself up so that you actually go do that and deliver on whatever you want.
Totally.
And I try to do that for myself and for others, dude, as much as I possibly can.
Oh yeah, because it's easy to get comfortable.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I talk about this all the time, self-auditing. I'll just run a self-audit myself. I'm like, okay, you're getting too comfortable or you're not being as positive as you should be because it's hard, right? I mean, it's not easy.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes what I'll do intentionally, and you got to be careful on how you balance this out, but I'll say, okay, look, I'm getting kind of comfortable. Let me push myself a little bit. I know I can accomplish this. So I'll go out and make a big investment. And I'll say, you know what? I'm going to make this big investment and I have to make it work. Otherwise, I'm going to have the bank knocking on the door, the credit card company, but I know I can make it work. So that pushes me out of my comfort zone in order to accomplish to pay that off. And every time I've done that, we have massively excelled. We've almost doubled our revenue from last year. And we massively increase our expenses, but now it's creating a compound effect.
Yeah. Pay attention to what he just said. Also, Dave Ramsey, close your ears, okay?
Yeah.
But dude, you talked about putting your back against the wall, making a massive investment. And I think what happens a lot of times too is we need something in life, like you just mentioned a second ago, to wake us up. to snap us out of being average, out of being normal,
Right.
to become it's almost like, okay, let me see if I can reach that next level of me.
Totally.
And I'm going to prove to myself that like, I better show up or I'm going to be embarrassed or I'm not going to live up to the hype or I'm not going to reach the next version of me.
Right.
And most of the time we put our back against the wall enough and hard enough, we tend to perform,
Yep.
you know, as humans we do. We don't always want to,
Right.
but when we do that, we do. And you did that. Dude, I can name countless freaking times where I'm back against the wall. Talk about my first year. I don't talk about this story a lot. I made $9,000 my first month as a full-time agent, $9,000.
That's amazing.
January. And I go to the dealership in February, and I'm looking at this red Dodge Challenger, SRTA, like the souped up version. They didn't have the Hellcat back then, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to have this car, bro. I'm a car guy. I have electric Porsche Taycan now, but I'm a car guy.
Yeah.
And I go to the dealership, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want this car. I want this. Here's what I'll pay for it. I want this. They're like, dude, you do know this is like a $40,000 car, man. It's like $43,000, man. He's like, dude, you're like 20 years old. You know, I'm like, yeah, probably made more money than you did last month. You know, to the sales rep. He's like, how much you make? I'm like, $9,000. He's like, what? How? It was like one of those Jordan Belfort moments. Like, if you really made $70,000 last month, show me a pay set. I'm coming to work for you. Right?
Exactly.
Now, I didn't recruit him from the car dealership. However, he's like, dude, if you made $9,000, prove it, and we'll sell you the car because you can afford it. I'm like, you darn right I can afford it. Now, was it a smart investment? Probably not. But
yeah, sure.
I go through it. I buy the car after printing off a pay stub, my mutual home pay stub, in the dealership just to prove it, right?
Yeah.
Well, what's funny about that is my parents and I are really close. We got a tight-knit family.
That's great. Yeah.
They're in Vegas on a vacation. Love my family. On a business trip in Vegas. And
oh, sure, business. Yeah.
so yeah, somebody heard that I bought a car through like the office, and so they told them, like one of the other managers told my dad, like, you know, Cody just bought a really nice car, and he's like, no, Cody wouldn't buy a car without talking to me, man. Like, he did not do that. They're like, yeah, he did. So he called me, and he researched and found back then you had 72 hours to take it back, and you could like wipe your hands and walk away, right? I don't know if that's still a thing. I don't know, but it was then.
Well, rent a Lamborghini for free for 72 hours.
There you go, I guess. Yeah, if you want to put up with the 4 hours in the dealership. But yeah. So, and he said, take it back. And I said, here's what I'll do. Put my back against the wall, right? I said, if I don't pay cash in 6 months, I don't pay it off cash in 6 months. It was February. If I don't pay it off cash in August, I'll get rid of it.
Yeah.
And I remember walking with like a $39,000 check to Great Southern Bank in Springfield, Missouri, August, 6 months later. But I believed in myself and I put my back against the wall.
That is so cool, man. I love that.
It was cool.
Now, how long did you hang on to that car?
I hung on to it for a couple more years. Yeah. I've never had a car for very long. Like now I change cars like at the end of every single year, which is a little excessive, but whatever.
Tax deduction acceleration.
That's exactly right. So it's like 6,000 pounds. It's IRS tax 179 or whatever, and electric. So I get some electric, credits there too. So.
Yeah, it's funny too. We do that with our SUVs because again, the other thing too, the more that you make, the more that you're going to spend. It's just natural.
Yes.
And you always got to balance it because it's really easy because when you start making bigger numbers, then you buy anything you want as long as you can pay for it. Then you start stacking all these monthly commitments up.
Correct.
But the car thing, the same thing. Like we just we get a new SUV every year. We just flip it in.
Yeah.
And then I just buy all the highest warranty. I don't even care. Don't care if it scratches, blows up. Doesn't matter to me because we just flip it in every single year.
Yep.
So we're big in cars too. The next one I'm looking at, I definitely want the Hellcat. I've always wanted it.
Okay,
if I get an older one, get a pulley system on it.
So I start talking Challenger. You're like, all right,
yeah, that's
I'm
what I
with
say.
you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good, man.
Because it's like I have the truck, right? And I have the F350 diesel. It's like the biggest truck you can get. Do I need it? Absolutely not. There's no reason in the world that I need a big diesel truck.
Yeah.
But I like it and I want it,
Yeah.
And so like when I go for the car, I got to get the fastest, the best. Once I do go ahead and commit to that. But first we had to get the SUV because we keep having kids, and that's more important right now.
And when you make $2 million a year, dude, you freaking drive whatever you want. And on that note, on the car thing, it's cars are like it's like a trophy. It's like a toy. It's like I want to do something special for me and reward myself. Whether some people think that's okay or not. Even in my sales team, like Derek's going to make $250,000, $300,000 this year. I'm probably a little high, but I'm doing that on purpose to stretch them. Right? He's in the other room. He's got a Mercedes and a Ford Bronco. Like he needs 2 cars.
Yeah.
Dominic on our sales team has already made like $150,000 for the year.
That's
maybe
awesome.
a tad high, but like literally we're halfway through the year.
Yeah.
He just went and got a nice new caddy for like 50 grand, you know. Devin made 6 figures his first year with us, went and bought a Tesla.
Wow.
But it's also a good recruiting tool when you got all these top sales reps out there making 6 figures and like driving cool cars.
Yeah,
you know?
no, it's also perception too. I mean, when I first started in the business, I had a 95 Dodge diesel. Now, if anybody's into diesel trucks, that is a golden year because it's a 12 valve Cummins. I had a 4-inch straight pipe. It would just roll coal, loud tractor. But I remember showing up to people's house to try to sell life insurance, and they look out the window, and it was a relatively beat up truck, you know. They're like, what is this guy going to sell me, a hay bale? And so I ended up getting rid of it, and I sold my dirt bike, and I cried when I sold that dirt bike. I was like, man, I love racing and being a part of dirt bike. And anyways, I got rid of all that, and I traded it in for an Infiniti, like the high-end Nissan. A great car. We still have it today. My mom uses it. Yeah. And so I bought an Infiniti, and then that gave me that perception of the client, like, hey, look, oh, you are successful, because people want to buy from people who are successful.
That's
so
true too.
I had to adapt a little bit, but then as more success came, I was able to be more confident and like, I don't care if I drive a truck, especially living in Texas. I can wear my belt just like this to do seminars, everything. So it's a little bit easier that way.
My dad sold 465 life insurance policies his first year in 1990, running a debit route with no leads, and was rolling in a Geo Metro.
Geo Metro?
Yeah, little blue 2-door Geo Metro, probably got 4,000 miles a gallon.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, crazy.
I remember those Geo Metros. He doesn't have it now though.
No, he does not have it now. Yeah.
But what they've done with those Geo Metros, they'll put like a CBR 1000 like a street bike engine in them, and they soup them up because they don't weigh anything.
No.
But he sold, that's more than a policy a day. That's like some like.
Yeah, and if you do 250 business days, he sold about 2 a day. You know, I mean, literally was making like almost 2 sales every single day for a whole year.
In the 90s, huh?
Yeah, in 1990, running a debit route while collecting premiums from hundreds of clients every,
what do you mean
every
by debit
month.
route?
So a debit route back in the day, and they still have them in certain like metro areas. It's crazy. It's a collection. You're an agent, you're a salesperson, but you're also a collection agent. So he would go knock on people's doors, like, okay, I'm here to collect your premium for this month. It looks like it's $34.60, and he would collect it.
For the life insurance?
For life insurance. Sometimes in cash. And be rolling around with just a bunch of cash.
Carry a pistol.
And and then go deposit it, you know, and like into this account. And he was with Reliable Life back then. I think they still exist. I've met a couple debit route agents still, by the way. The retention is insane because someone's coming to your house every single month.
Yeah.
And the amount of the referral piece is insane. Now, do I want to run a debit route? Absolutely freaking not. But
I never even heard of a debit route.
It's
I've been
crazy.
doing it for 13 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was still a thing. It was way bigger back then when it wasn't like EFT and automatic bank drafts and all that stuff. But
yeah, I couldn't imagine knocking on somebody's door. Hey, you know, you're $8 a month for this final expense policy or accidental death policy.
Can you imagine?
Wow. That's awesome, though. I mean,
it's not your style. You're used to picking up big checks, though.
A little bit different. Yeah. Well, I started somewhere. I started selling, life insurance in that big truck. I would go to a Starbucks. I'd sit at the same Starbucks every single day.
Did you do like mortgage protection, final expense? What did you do?
Yeah, so mainly mortgage protection.
Okay.
I did do a series of final expense. It wasn't really for me. I really nerded out on the whole product side because when I was first introduced to life insurance, it was all about the IUL and cash value and all that. And then I learned really how it works. And then I learned how term works. I was like, okay, well, term's more beneficial for most people because they need the coverage, and the amount of money that they have can only go so far.
Yes.
And then I really got into mortgage protection. Back then I was buying mailers. So as soon as I would close a deal, talk about reinvesting back in yourself, right?
Yes.
I literally, like even today, like I pay myself very, very little compared to the revenues. I put everything back into the business.
Wow.
And back then where I would sell a policy, I'd make like $500. Like I would just literally buy like natural ice beer, like the cheapest beer I could get, top ramen, whatever, and put the rest back into leads. And I kept doing that, and it paid massive dividends by doing so. But we were getting 2%, 3% return rate on direct mailers for mortgage protection. The market's a little bit saturated now.
That's crazy, by the way.
It was crazy. I was spending $4,000 and making $75,000 on average. And then we got so many coming in, I'd have my mom call, because I hated doing phone calls. Everybody doesn't like that, right?
True.
For the first few years, I was sitting there just calling people nonstop, all day, all night, just didn't stop.
But you did it.
I did it. Yeah, exactly. That's why when people say, oh, I haven't made any money this week. How many phone calls did you make? 10? Whatever. I made more than that like last hour.
The average agent doesn't make 10 calls a week.
No, yeah,
right now.
Exactly. And then it's like, what are they going to say to you on the phone? No, big deal. Hang up. Go to the next person. Plenty of people.
Totally.
But we kept reinvesting it and building that up there. So that's what talking about putting right back into the business, starting all over again.
That's good.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a whirlwind.
You said something cool though. Like you're making some money. You're paying yourself a little bit. Yeah. But you're not taking all the money from the business, right?
No, not at all.
That's what most entrepreneurs fell at too.
They
see all this cash, they take it all out, they spend it all, they waste it all. People that really, especially if you're in I believe you're almost always in growth mode and scale mode.
Yeah.
And that you should get to where, okay, I'm going to pay myself a little bit. I'm going to have some fun. I'm going to do my thing.
Yeah, reward yourself.
Yeah, reward yourself. But freaking invest back in your business and grow this thing because you know it's
100%.
nowhere near where it can be.
Nowhere.
And then you're robbing from your own business.
Yeah. Like Alex Hormozy, again, they're bringing that up. He had this video talk about debt ignorance. Like if you want to be at $10 million and you're at 2 or 3, then your debt ignorance is costing you $7 or $8 million a year, right? And then how do you overcome that? Well, you can't grow a business without spending money. That's what a lot of agents are so scared to do.
Amen to that.
They're like, oh, $100 a month, I don't think I can afford that. You can't afford not to,
yeah.
right? Or once you cancel your Netflix bill. How bad do you really want it, right?
Correct.
So even today, we live by those standards where we literally put virtually everything into the practice. And even at times, we'll overcommit to certain things and say, hey, you know what? We know it's going to take a long time to pay that off, but it's going to be worth it.
Totally.
Right? Totally take that chance and reinvest it. And don't be cheap either. Pick the right things, get the value, and you pay to pay attention. You buy it I tell all the agents all the time, if you go to events, right, such as 8%, buy the best ticket you possibly can.
Amen.
Because when you pay for that ticket, you're going to pay attention there. You're going to be in the seat. You're not going to be all hungover the next day, half of these insurance agents are. You go there for a reason. Correct. And you go there to meet people. You go there to learn and grow. And don't be shy. Talk to everybody that you can.
Yeah, if you're really there to grow, imagine the kind of conversations you're going to have when you spend $2,000 for a ticket versus $200 for a ticket.
Right.
Think about the level of conversations you're going to have.
Yeah.
You're going to hang out with Roy Snar. You're going to hang out with Luke Aker. You're going to hang out with Sand. You're going to hang out with Nate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just different.
It is, because it's it's one of those things where the more that you make investing back into the practice, you also want to invest into different groups and into different events and conferences because you meet higher caliber people there.
Yep.
So for example, if you're going to do prospecting when you first start, the Chamber of Commerce is amazing. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's free half the time, or $30 a quarter or something, right? So the quality of people that you find there that you're trying to sell to or build relationships to, you can't soar with the eagles if you're on the ground with the turkeys. So my perception of these events is if you pay the higher ticket levels and you go to the private VIP parties, you're all like-minded. You're there to get value. And if they can afford those tickets, even if you have a hard time affording it, you don't have to tell everybody, but even if you do, go to those events because there's a reason why those people are doing that, and ask them about how they built their business. You know what's great about your event and other industry events? I've never had an issue. If I came up to you and said, hey, Cody, I'm new in this practice. Can you give me a couple pointers? Yeah. Everybody spills the world. I even, I bought a package of tickets from you. There was a lady that I met during the SWAT event. She went all in on the practice, single mom, and said, I got laid off. I'm trying to build this practice. I said, I'll tell you what, if you will go, right? I got to check, make sure she's coming too. But anyways, I will give you a free ticket to go. Now, I normally don't do that because you pay to pay attention, but if you will go, I will do that. And she started almost getting emotional.
That's so cool.
And I said, hey, you know what? Because I was in your place one time and people helped me out, and then you'll be where I'm at, and then you'll be able to help other people out too.
Yeah, that's cool. I love that you do that, and that's what's cool about it too, is people that end up achieving a little bit and becoming better along the way, they want to help people out. Now, I do agree with the whole, I've given out too much for free and I've tried to help too much, and then I'm trying to drag someone to success, and I want it more than they do.
Yeah, that happens.
But I do believe in helping them, man, and trying to do what you can to help along the way. I think that's really cool, and I love that we always both probably said along the way, hey, if we ever, in whatever level we are now, but along the way, I want to look back and also help people too. So
that's what it's all about, because there's been, I talked about this with Luke too, there's been times where we've poured our heart and soul into agents and then nothing happens. True. And it's just business, and then the same thing. I always want it more than they want it, right? And you can't have that. They have to want it more than what you want it, right? And so it has to be a working relationship. Yeah. Then there's other times where you'll waste a lot of time and you can't get that back. But for those that it does work out, one of my business partner now, Garrett, He was working multiple jobs, and now he's full time in the practice. He's going to make, probably $350,000, $400,000, if not more, just by. And this is really his second year into selling full time, right? And so he's just growing exponentially. He'll be at a 7-figure income in the next 3 years. And it's really cool because we've done this, we've been able to build things together. He's been able to help me. I've been able to help him out. And so it's so rewarding. And with other agents too, especially people that follow your stuff, like, hey, I was able to quit my job. I was making enough money. It's rewarding. I get more of a thrill by having somebody else succeed that we helped. And even like, I'm hard on myself. Like if they do well because we helped them, it makes me feel better.
Yeah, 100%. Why do you think we're so hard on ourselves?
That's a great question, because it's like, even taking a compliment sometimes is always awkward, right?
It is.
I don't know. I'd much rather give compliments than like to receive them. And, I think a lot of it is, in my personal opinion, just from my experience, like maybe it's a little bit of insecurity, right? Because people, they see like myself and you obviously too, as like extroverts, right? I wasn't always like that, right? I mean, I've always extroverted with my friends, but it was, kind of like camera shy and stuff like that. And it just maybe was like a self-limiting belief and everything else.
That's 100% true.
And then it's a constant battle too. Like you don't want to, you want to be humble, but also appreciative at the same time. So it's like, hey, you're the greatest. Yeah, I know. It's like that's like, okay, that's not like very humble. Like, hey, thank you. I appreciate that. We work very hard for it.
So where's the line? This is a really good point, because it's like, okay, in the world we live in today, 2023, social media, attention spans, TikTok world, Instagram, Threads, whatever, YouTube, whatever it is. The goal is to get someone's attention. Yeah. The goal is to get people to be following what you're doing. Right. To watch your journey. Yeah. To get a backseat to what's going on in your life.
Totally.
But also there's the attention. You want people to keep people's attention. Yeah. But you do want to stay humble along the way. Yeah. Which is a very hard line to walk, because people could see me walking in doing interviews or stage different stuff or be on YouTube. I've had so many people that come off I'll literally walk off a stage and I'll be like, dude, I thought you were like freaking arrogant online and like, you know what I mean? And I didn't think I liked you very much. Yeah. But after hearing your story and like getting to know you and get to shake your hand, hang out for a second, listen to you speak, dude,
you're like, I gotta change my filter on Instagram. I mean,
I'm like, what am I doing to cause that? Even though I've got to be me, do my best self, stop worrying about what everybody else thinks, and do me and do right, and people will see it along the way. And some people that don't love it will end up loving it. But I think it holds a lot of people back, because they're like, well, I don't want to be arrogant, but I got to be humble. But I want to get attention. But I want to build business. But I want you to know me. But I want to post on social.
And I want to show my success.
I want to be seen.
I think the way that I personally balance it, and you do a good job at this also, is you share your mistakes and your failures. Yeah. Because that shows vulnerability, and we're all vulnerable. And it's like, hey, look, this is how I completely screwed up. And I don't want you to do the same thing. So learn from my mistakes and save the money. Yeah. But what we did from that, we learned from that, we were able to build this level of success, which is awesome. And we're very appreciative of that. And then with some of the success, we help donate to these charities. We help give back to the community. So that's the bigger picture, like having your why established is like the reason why we work so hard and do this. Yes, we're successful and we give back to the community. You can't, you can only give out and help so many people with the money that you have. So the more successful they are, the more of an impact you make, right? So I think the way that I help balance that, because it's like, I don't talk about, like some people will point out like my watch, right? It's like, yeah, big deal. It's a watch,
It's not just a watch though.
Yeah, it's not just a watch.
Is that a Rolex?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And so, but like, a lot of these guys that are in our space, they'll talk about like, like here's my brand new Porsche.
Yeah, they'll mention the Rolex 42 times.
Yeah,
you call it a watch, you rock it, you'll be able to see it, or you wouldn't wear it.
Exactly.
But, and it's a staple and you've earned it, but you're not over there like,
sure.
All right. Welcome to the Roy Starr Show. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate it. I mean, so it's like little things like that. Like I just try to balance it out, just be real, and then share the failures and the vulnerability. I think that really helps.
I think it helps a ton. That's what people want to know too. Is they're like, okay, what did you screw up? What did you not do well? I think it's something that as you share more and you open up your story more and you become more vulnerable, people respond and they respect and they love it. Yeah. Totally. I've noticed me be able to get better along the way at being super vulnerable. And even like in a funny way, Sure. Like, dude, I freaking screwed this up so bad. I can't believe I did this. I hope you guys never do this. But hear me out. Here's what I did, And it's like people relate to that so much because everyone's a freaking screw up.
Oh yeah, everybody. I actually like have fun talking about like the stuff I've messed up on. Like, and talking about the beginning where I was selling policies out of the back of my pickup truck, and I slept in my truck a couple of times, like, and then saying, hey, the first time I made all this money, I didn't save anything for taxes. Then I learned real quick that I forgot about my business partner, the IRS. They want money. And then I got in this taxing where I just had to give up all my money in my bank account. It went negative. And just sharing those stories, because far too often, people that like, especially in this instant gratification world we live in, and the world of Instagram and Facebook, everybody's the rock star, superstar, everything's perfect. Right. But if you come from the angle of like, no, dog, it's not perfect. We've all been through this hard times. Look how many times I failed. Look how many screw ups I've made so far this year. But I've learned from them, and hopefully you can learn from them too, because you're never going to get to that level of success without banging your head against the wall and screwing up and failing multiple
100%.
times. The only difference is you just got to be determined and keep going. That's what I attribute it to. Like, I'm not the smartest person in the world by any means, but I'm just determined.
Just one of the smartest I know.
Sure. I'm one of the most determined for sure.
And dude, I mean, IRS is my least favorite business partner.
I
don't actually even you consider a business partner. I'm like, I don't know, bro. But I did forget to pay taxes my very first year. $117,000, 1099, and I went to a tax CPA person, and they're like, all right, sweet, you owe 20 grand. I'm like, dude, I don't have the money anymore. Like, I brought a car, I blew it. I bought everybody pizza. Like, what are we talking about? 20? Are you
should see my parties.
There isn't anything you can do. They're like, you owe it, man. And so what's funny is then I go sign up for H&R Block online, do my own taxes my first year, $8,000. I'm like, all right, that's cool. And then I send it off, but then I learned, I'm like, very quick, dude, I got to pay quarterly taxes. I got to pay, now I have different W-2s, different companies. And I'm like, I got to pay my taxes, man. That's important. Also, I love, you mentioned something a second ago too, I want to go back to. You talked about sleeping in your truck. I haven't seen the Roy Snore homeless video yet, man. Like, dude, everybody's homeless. Like, I don't have a home for 42 hours and I'm in my truck, but I'm homeless. And it's like, I mean, it's a good story, but like, it seems like everybody's homeless nowadays. I think you're missing a huge moment here.
I know. I did. It was funny too, because if you look at it, like the popularity is like, oh, I was addicted to like drugs and I was homeless, and now I'm a multimillionaire. Like, I mean, I always had a place to sleep. I could always go to a friend's house and I could couch surf. So I was never homeless. I don't have that cool part of the story.
Were you a drug addict?
No, I was not. So I know I never had any fun experimenting with drugs. I was actually, it was funny. I've never tried anything. I mean, I've tried weed before, but it just really wasn't for me. I was too.
What's that feel like? I've never done it.
Well, it depends.
Let's talk about weed for a second on the Roy Snore show.
So I mean, I'll tell you about this time I had some gummies with my mom and Jessica. We thought they were CBD to help us go to sleep. Well, there was this thing called Delta 8, which is, I guess, identical to marijuana, and we got just totally wasted on it. It was a fun time, but it was just paranoia.
So what do you mean wasted? Like,
well, it was.
I've never been drunk
really
either, so I'm like, okay, I'm trying to understand this. Like, you just, you can tell you're like really high.
Well, I'll bring a good bottle of bourbon. I want to watch this.
No, I'm not getting drunk, but you get loopy. You get like, you're like not there. You incoherent. Like,
I don't, man. Dude, it's like I'm trying to describe the color blue to somebody who's colorblind. It's
so like high, homeless. High and homeless and wealthy, but he.
But yeah, it never did anything. I was always too afraid that I'd be.
He wasn't a drug addict though.
No, not a drug addict. I drank a lot of beer in college. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But never had that type of crazy story. But living through the fact that my mom became disabled, that was traumatic. And then luckily she's okay now, but still not like perfect. But that all was like life lessons. So it wasn't like this perfect cherry patch and everything handed. Like and that's what makes the best entrepreneurs, in my opinion. Just like what you went through. Your dad's like, get your ass out there. I did it. You can do it too. And you did it. And that's how you become somebody who's great and that can help share experiences when you go through those type of traumatic events or experiences.
You know what pushed me to along the way that I don't talk a lot about is I was, because my dad was successful. It was assumed that I would be successful and that he would help me in a lot of ways be successful, right? Now, my dad's amazing. He helped me for sure.
Yeah.
He'd be stupid if I said he didn't. But I had a chip on my shoulder that I'm like, and some people were like, you shouldn't have a chip on your shoulder. You shouldn't prove people wrong. It's like, dude, if that's what helps you reach success,
and that's your fuel to keep going.
So for me, early on, it was a fuel. Not only was there belief, put my back against the wall, but also there was a little bit of like, dang, dude, other people are doubting me or they're assuming that it's not me.
Yeah.
And then it was funny because everybody's like kind of hating and wondering and like, okay, doing this, you can hear it around the office and all this stuff's happening. And then before you know it, there was a point where people were like, dang, dude, what are you doing? I'd get calls from managers from different states and people from California and Minnesota and like Mississippi. And they're like, can you speak to our team? Can you come door knock 4 hours away with these agents? What are you doing? How'd you do this? Can you teach these people? And I'm like, I even got offered a sales manager position with a company, with an insurance company at 21 years old. And I'm like, dude, I'm still in college. I'm not ready. But it's funny to go from like doubting, hating, jealous, just because his dad, and then it's like, well, wait, what's going on over there, bro? What's he got going on? What's he doing, man? You know what I mean? So that was cool.
That is cool. I mean, and it's one of those things where like you needed to prove it to yourself and also break through a perception perhaps that like, well, your success just came from your dad.
Correct.
It's like, no, it actually came from me. Yes, I got help with it. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
100%.
Because look at all the trust fund kids and the trust fund babies. They don't do anything. You know, like grow up in the OC or whatever.
Yeah, and it's stupid to say nobody helped me. I did all on my own.
Yeah,
it's idiotic. That's never true for anyone. No way.
I've had lots of mentors like come in and help out, but a lot of it has to come from you. But you don't just do this by yourself.
No,
right? It's very rare. Like you have to have help, and then being humble about it and talking about it is good because a lot of times there's other people that are successful. They say, I never had any help at all. I did it all by myself. Really? You never talked to anybody? Never got any advice? You just figured it out by reading Reader's Digest?
No books, no conferences, no mentors, no lunches, no trainings.
Dude, I flooded myself. I still do today. I'll listen to Napoleon Hill's recordings. Awesome. Earl Nightingale. I like the old stuff.
You do like the old stuff, man.
Stuff.
I think that's gonna put me to sleep now. I'm like, I don't think I'm like a prescribed ADD, but my attention span is freaking shot.
Oh, dude, mine is too. I mean, I'm like squirrel. I'm everywhere, But it's I just flood my mind and subconscious mind with all this positivity stuff because I have to, because we're just surrounded by a negative world. I used to like love watching like conspiracy theories. I get way into it and I love it. But then I'm like, it's not necessarily that positive. Yep. Especially government conspiracy theories. Yep. And I was like, let me just back off and focus on, this is successful stuff. Right?
Totally.
So.
This is another element of success you're talking about, and you're talking about if you want to find negativity, you find negativity.
Yep.
If you want to be terrible at objections, you'll be terrible at objections. You want to not put in the work, you won't put in the work. If you want to you know what I mean? All these things. Like I really believe that we have way more. This isn't popular and it's not, but I really believe like when it comes to mental health, when it comes to physical health, when it comes to emotional health, it comes to everything. We have way more control over us, how we feel, what we think, and what we do than we give ourselves credit for.
100%.
If I want to be depressed, dude, I'll be depressed. If I want to not be depressed, guess what? I won't be depressed.
No, I truly believe, we choose our reality, right? And you actually create it and manifest it.
Yep.
I mean, I had a vision board that had $250,000 written on it for like 5 years. Right. And then I still didn't hit it in the fifth year. It took me to like the seventh.
Now you'd be broke.
Oh, yeah. No, exactly. That doesn't cover expenses. And so, but I remember writing that down. And then I had another little vision board of a house. And the house that we purchased in Texas is very close to that one. It's crazy. I even printed out a stack of $100 bills in the form of $100,000 before even the 250 whiteboard and all these little milestones. And I still have that today. I mentally envision smelling the new car or the new house and seeing how it all works. And it's true. It's proven by MIT science.
Yeah. People don't do those things.
No.
Most of you guys watching, you do not do this stuff.
Yeah.
But everybody talks about how important it is and how most people believe they'll be successful before they were. And I do believe you have to go there in the mind before you go there in the body.
Oh, 100%.
And you have to start to believe it and see it before it's ever going to become your reality.
Totally.
I'm still writing down my goals every single day.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
I'm writing down, I'm impacting millions of people around.
I write them down, I say them, and then I say it with feeling and meaning. You have to put the emotion with the thought. So that's a big thing. That's how you activate those little vibrating frequencies. Now they're going to be like, okay, these dudes, they sound weird. Yeah, exactly. Here, your turn. I'm a
sound crazy.
But it's all true. And I mean, they've even proven in science, they've actually captured, like we all are light wave particles and vibration. They've actually captured atoms from light waves and proven that. And it's really interesting. That's a whole other long conversation. I go to those are positive rabbit holes on YouTube.
That's a rabbit trail.
Yeah, exactly. That's instead of chasing 2 rabbits, I'm chasing a herd of them. You know what I mean? But it's very interesting. So, as we wind down here today, maybe you could share a little bit more about how people can work with you, what kind of agents that you're looking for, and then also share more about how they can get a hold of you. And then lastly, talk about like one cool charity aspect that you do.
Yeah, man, let's do it. So if someone wants to grow and they're in the insurance industry, I'm their dude, bro, for sure. 1,000%. Okay. Yeah. Also, if they want to like watch what we're doing, our YouTube channel at Cody Askins, about to hit 100K.
There you go.
Few minutes, maybe, who knows?
By the time they're watching this, it'll be 100K.
For sure. Yeah. At Cody Askins on YouTube, at Cody.Askins on Instagram. If they want a little behind the scenes, we put up stories. I was doing a story a second ago before we started the interview, right?
Yeah.
So sharing that kind of stuff. They also can get to where they reach out through Cody at Cody Askins. You know what? I'll even do something a little unique. We'll see how many people watch this. Okay,
Cool.
They can text me. How about that?
Okay.
417-343-4397. Say, hey, dude, I saw you on the Roy Snar show. I want to chat. I may throw you in a group text with one of my team. We'll get Derek involved, but we'll help you. We'll hang out. Derek's like,
Derek's like shaking his head.
Derek's like, I can't believe he just gave out his cell phone number in this show. It's like, whatever. Okay?
You should give out Derek's cell phone number.
Yes. Hang on. Let me get it. No,
I'll write it in the bathroom stall.
There we go.
Call
Perfect.
for a good time.
And then, dude, I mean, here's some of the things that we're doing, right? So every chance we get to sponsor a kid or like help a family for Christmas or like do something through our church, we love doing that.
Awesome.
Love doing that. My wife especially, Lauren, loves freaking doing that stuff, okay? We're also in the middle of like working through rolling out this foundation, which is really important to her, that we can actually put together and do that, which is really cool, and I'm excited about that in the near future. I don't know exactly when. It takes a second to get those things up and going, but I'm excited about that. And then two, like I truly believe that you can give back and like give money and do this different stuff, which is cool, right? And I give cash away through my social media every few days, typically. Which is great.
I gotta get on that.
Venmo. I think I gave away like $300 or $400 last week, right? But I also believe that if you have a gift and you're not sharing it, that's the best way you can give.
Yeah.
I believe you can give people handouts, or you can give them a hand up.
Right.
And so by getting out of your own way, get out of your freaking head and start posting on social, start helping the world. Start putting out content, start sharing your gift with the world and inspiring others to do the same. You're helping people more than you could ever help them in any other way.
That's awesome. I love that.
Which is what you're doing right now.
Yeah, that's the whole reason why we created this, and to have great people like yourself on and to share their message. And it's a great platform for distribution. The podcast, the YouTube. And it's evergreen too. Like my kids can look back and be like, "Oh yeah, there's Dad right there," And even when I'm gone, it's a legacy building tool, and it's fun because maybe somebody out there picks up just one nugget, one little tip, and it helps change them. That's all it is.
Yeah.
I had my first comment on a YouTube video saying that was very inspiring. I really appreciate it. I almost fell out of my chair. I felt so special. I was like, "This is so cool." I still didn't message him back, but I will. But. It just got busy, but it was just super cool that that happened. So it's like maybe we're like all this stuff, right? Just if it changed one life, that sounds cliche, life changing, but it's true because I remember when I was listening to audiobooks and tapes like that, those figures help impact and change my life. So it's a self-perpetuating wheel. So I really appreciate you coming out today.
Thanks,
I know you're busy, and thank you so much for being on the show.
Appreciate you. Love you.
Cool. Love you too, man.